Hey guys, what's up? It's Umbruhh here, and I am with
JusticeSoulTuna. Hey,
good friend of mine, and he has an awesome YouTube channel. And so today we're going to be talking about Black Ops 4 and the hate surrounded by it. Like, we're both, you're excited for the game, right?
yeah, I'm pretty excited. I get COD pretty much every year, with the exception of
World
World
War
War
II.
II. I do get COD every year, so yeah, I'm actually excited for this game.
Yeah, well, this is the first time in a while that I've been genuinely excited for a COD since Black Ops 3. I wasn't a fan of Infinite Warfare or World War II. Although primarily, it was not even with the setting. It's more with like the gameplay feeling stale and with the rise of loot boxes.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like, I personally like Infinite Warfare, but I think yeah, the loot boxes thing doesn't help.
Yeah. So recently, if you guys weren't aware, Black Ops 4 was announced last week. Well, not really announced, but they showed multiplayer gameplay finally. And they revealed that it is not going to have a single player campaign. It's multiplayer, zombies, and battle royale. But they did mention that there's going to be like missions for specialists, right?
Yeah, it's like, as far as I can tell from rumors and from what they said, it'll be single player and probably co-op missions for specialists. That's going to give them some backstory, which I think that's interesting. So it's cool that that's there. And to be
Definitely.
honest with you, I feel like we've been missing co-op missions for a long time. Like ever since Advanced Warfare, that was the last game to actually have co-op survival mode. Because a lot
Oh,
of people don't remember, but Modern Warfare 2 added Spec Ops, which were co-op missions
they
taking
also
place
added.
both in the campaign and also. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, Spec. That was in Modern Warfare 2
Yeah,
as
way
well.
back in the day, exactly. Like those were really fun. And then Modern Warfare 3 had the same thing. It had Spec Ops co-op missions and Spec Ops Survival, which was just a survival mode.
That was
But yeah, it
awesome.
was awesome. I loved it. Um, Advanced Warfare had a co-op survival mode, no missions, a co-op survival mode. But then Advanced Warfare had zombies, and then
Yeah,
Black Ops 3 obviously had zombies, and then Infinite Warfare had
co-op
zombies, and
campaign.
then Modern Warfare, and sorry, and then World War II had zombies. Basically, all the co-op campaigns just died out for like the past 5 games. So
Yeah,
the fact that they're bringing it back, admittedly at the cost of single player, sucks, but it's cool that they're bringing it back in some way. Like I
yeah,
appreciate that they're bringing it back at all.
yeah. And one of the things I've noted about the trailer is it has unfortunately got a lot of dislikes. Like, not like Infinite Warfare level of dislikes,
See,
but
that really surprises me.
yeah,
And I suspect it has something to do with the Battle Royale announcement. Like, I guarantee people are more mad about the Battle Royale announcement than the actual game itself. Because the game itself really is giving people what they want. No
yeah,
boosting, no future, like no gimmicks, no space. It's literally just boots on the ground Call of Duty. I mean, that's what people say they want, right? But,
yeah.
you know.
But it's like people are like the comments are saying people don't like how it's set in the future, and this is kind of the
It's
thing
no this way
that
that Black
pisses.
Ops 4 is set in the future.
Yeah,
I feel like it's near future though. It's like after Black Ops 2. That's not that much future.
yeah, it's like Black Ops, like before. No, it's like after Black Ops 2, but
But
like
before Black
before
Ops
Black
3,
Ops
yeah.
3. So it's like a pre-sequel, I guess you could call it.
Pre-sequel, yeah, basically.
Well, that's what Borderlands called it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people are like complaining, like specifically about the futuristic setting.
Hmm.
And this is kind of the thing that always confused me about the hate surrounding Call of Duty, because if you remember back when Modern Warfare 3 was announced and the gameplay was shown, that's when the hate started to show around
Yep.
COD,
Exactly.
and were like, Call of Duty is the same game every year. Change it. Black Ops 2. They change it. Future. Yeah, same thing every year. Then when they actually do something really different and change the way the gameplay works in games like Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare, I think Advanced Warfare came
Yeah, in fact,
first.
funnily enough, the thing about Advanced Warfare is critically, as in like reviewers and general gamers, people love that game. Like
Yeah.
if you mention Advanced Warfare to people, most people have a favorable opinion of it because it had one of the strongest campaigns. I mean, granted, obviously he's not publicly favorable right now, but Kevin Spacey being in it was a big deal. The storyline was actually very well detailed. Remember, there was like an open world element to it, like the mission where you had to sneak and like grapple hook people and stuff. Advanced Warfare's
Oh yeah.
campaign was just really cool. So the general gamer public and critics, they loved it. It's the fans that didn't. It's the fans that mowed up the storm, which, as you rightly pointed out, funny because not but 3 years ago they were moaning that COD never changes. COD finally changes. Now they're moaning that it changed too much.
Yeah, like that was specifically happened in Infinite Warfare though when they went to space. Like, what do you people want? Do you want the same thing every year or something different? And for those of you that say the same thing every year, I mean like it's kind of not cool when like they just it's basically an expansion, but this isn't COD's case. Like it's a different game and like they're doing what you asked, a different setting, change of pace.
In
Just
fact,
like,
with World War II, I mean, that was received way better than Infinite Warfare, but I suspect that was like that was more of like a, like in
yeah,
retaliation to Infinite Warfare. Like, oh yay, bring back World War II because like there's that whole undercurrent of like, oh, future sucks, bring back World War II, bring back Modern Warfare. So they brought back
yeah,
World War II and people were happy about that. But ask anyone about COD World War II right now, nobody likes that game apparently. You know?
yeah, like World War II, like there was still a bit of hate surrounding that because then people were like, "Well, it's the same COD every year, but it's bland, so we don't like it, and it's loot boxes." And that's mainly the problem I've had with recent CODs, not even the settings. I mean, World War II, I just didn't like because it's like a it felt like a game. It felt this might be a little bit of a stupid thing to say, but it felt like a ginger because it didn't have a soul.
That's pretty funny. I know what you mean, but like it didn't have a soul. Like I can kind of see that. I think the
Like Halo
campaign
5.
was cool. I think of World War II, from what I've heard anyway. The campaign seemed cool, but
Hmm.
I don't know. The rest of it is whatever.
Yeah.
You're saying about Halo
And
5?
no, I was saying like it reminded me of Halo 5. Like it didn't really have a soul.
Hmm. I see what you
Although,
mean.
although that would be kind of subjective.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to teeter off into it, but I think Halo 5, weirdly enough, is a different situation entirely where Halo fans quite literally want the same thing all the time, and Halo 5 wasn't that, and that's why they weren't happy. Like, it basically changed a lot about the story mode, with Locke being the focus. It changed, like, the narrative in the sense that, like, what they did to Cortana, what they did to, like, the whole mythos of Halo. Like, I think people weren't happy because they took away what fans actually liked. I'd say that
Yeah.
Halo fans are different in that they don't get a game every year. They get a game every 4 to 5 years, and they usually love it. Like, despite
Uh,
how much people have different opinions about Halo 2 and 3, and especially 4, overall, everyone loves those games because they're few and far between, and they're basically the same with some new stuff. So I
yeah.
think that's why Halo fans are okay getting the same things because it's the same things just slightly updated. But the issue is that COD isn't that. COD is every year by different developers, 3 different developers, but it's because of that repetition. And I think
Yeah.
the issue is at the end of the day that it's like I wouldn't even say it's the vocal minority. I don't even think that's correct. I think it's just whoever is vocal at the time. I wouldn't say it's the majority or the minority. I think it's just whoever decides to go on Reddit and talk like BS about it. It's funny because Infinite Warfare, for all the hate that game got, it's like that game right now has actually one of the best communities. That sounds weird, but it's like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's probably only 2,000 people playing Infinite Warfare, myself included.
Oh yeah. There's
But
probably more people still playing Black Ops
there,
3.
there definitely more people playing Black Ops 2. But the few of us who are playing Infinite Warfare, we actually like the game. Why? Because all the people who don't like it have went away. So the people who
Yeah.
do like it are still there. It's the same with COD Ghost. That was another game everyone really hated, right?
Well,
Ironically, which I think that game was. It's weird how that game was hated, but I feel like that one was almost a bit more deserved. Not that hate is deserved, but like COD Ghosts was a game where the campaign was cool, but it wasn't the best. Multiplayer was fun, but it wasn't the best. I feel like it's not a
I
bad game. It's just a weak spot in the series compared to other games in
Yeah,
the series. It's just a weak spot. It's not bad, but
I'm one of the few people that like Ghosts.
yeah,
I love the guns in Call of Duty Ghosts. Like I do prefer Treyarch games rather than like Infinity Ward
yeah.
games, but did I just say Infinity Ward? I
You
mean
did.
Infinity War. Oh my
Infinity
god.
Ward. No, you're right. Infinity Ward is the studio. You're correct.
Oh god, now I'm thinking of Avengers.
Oh, Infinity War. That's pretty funny. Well, no, yeah, that's fine. But Ghosts. I think Ghosts was cool. I actually think Ghosts is the most unique Call of Duty.
Yeah, because it's
It's
post-apocalyptic.
post-apocalyptic. U.S. was actually defeated. You're not playing as like the big badass heroes. You're actually playing as like the losers, effectively, who have to, scrounge whatever power they have to actually fight back. And it's just
And you can have a dog.
yeah, exactly, Riley. And I think it's just very interesting what they do with the story. But I can appreciate that because it didn't have all those big crazy things that COD normally has. That's why people weren't into it, because it didn't do what COD normally does, not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of like scale. But that's funny because, funnily enough, I actually think Ghost Story to the end was kind of ridiculous. Like if you remember Ghost Story towards the end, you had
That ending was
that ending was
terrible.
crazy. Like not maybe talk about the ending itself, but like Ghost's like final few missions, you're in literally in a squadron of tanks moving at like Mach speed, shooting people in the desert. It was crazy.
Wait, in COD
Yeah,
Ghosts?
don't you remember that tank?
No, it was on a train,
No,
and
no, no, no,
then
no. I know, but I'm saying the mission before that, where you were in the tanks to get to the train.
no, the mission before that was in space. You were infiltrating
Yeah,
Loki or
no, I know,
something.
but before that, basically the way it worked is they got in the tanks, they went across the desert shooting everything in sight, then it goes to space, you infiltrate Odin to regain control, then it goes back to the ground where you see the missiles coming down, then you're on the train to go get what's his name? Oh, it starts with an R. The bad guy, I forget his name.
Rourke.
Rourke, yeah, exactly. No, like that whole like last 5 missions was ridiculous. I loved it.
Yeah.
But it was
There were a lot of Norse mythology references in Call of Duty Ghosts. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, instead, like, you went to the Odin station and you had to drop a nuke named Fenrir on
yeah,
the Odin state because Fenrir eats
yeah.
Odin in
I mean,
Ragnarok.
that may be too on the nose though, but I think it's cool. But I mean, regardless, I think COD Ghost is very unique, and I think the multiplayer too was quite unique. But people moaned about that because while the general gunplay and stuff was fine, the issue with the multiplayer was that the maps were huge, and this was before advanced movement,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's what I didn't like
Yeah,
about COD Ghost.
the maps were absolutely massive,
I also
and
didn't like melee in that game. Like, it felt like too long and it
oh,
made you
because
an
yeah, it
easy target.
gave you the animation where you actually see their face. I actually like that though. I actually liked it when you meleeed them. It showed you their face as they died. I thought that was kind of cool. Like,
Fuck, man, you're
oh,
sadistic.
come on, whatever. It's a game, but no, like, so I think that was interesting, and but the maps were huge, and time to kill was very, very like low in the sense that like you died very easily. So you'd run across a map for like a minute, find someone, they just gun you down instantly. Which that sounds horrible, but I feel like at the same time, I feel like the game had momentum to it. Like I feel like COD Ghost had real momentum in the sense that the match is slow. Yeah, everyone's running around these absurdly big maps without the advanced movement, looking for people to kill. And then
Yeah.
once you find it, like you get these ridiculous fights. Like I remember when gunfights happen in COD Ghost, like they'd last a long time. So I don't know.
Mm.
Like I guess the point is that it's funny because like when you're a game company, because they actually reported this, I found this out way back when Modern Warfare 3 was coming out, they said that COD had at the time, this was 2011 by the way, so this was like 7 years ago. They
COD
said, no,
Ghosts?
when Modern Warfare 3 was coming out in 2011,
Oh,
they said that COD had reached 25 million players worldwide. And I was like, geez, like that's a crazy number, probably way more than that now. I'm like,
I could see
geez,
that.
that's insane. And they basically said that like you don't reach that many like players without then not being able to make everyone happy. And it's true.
Yeah. I've been playing Call of Duty for like 8 years now.
I've been playing it for 10.
Um, nice. My first game was technically Call of Duty 4, but it was around the time when Modern Warfare 2 was out, and I also played Modern Warfare 2. Probably one of the best memories I've ever had with the game, but
I
looking
I still
back at
think
my
Modern Warfare 2 is the best to this day. But yeah, go ahead.
uh, but looking back at my 9-year-old ass, like while playing multiplayer, I cringe looking back in some of the stuff I did.
I'm sure we all
I rem-
do. I'm sure we all
I
do.
remember like back in one of the first commentary I ever did for my channel back when I was Death Soul. I was like, "Hey guys, it's Death Soul 94 here. I'm not a little kid and I'm playing some domination on
I'm not a
Rust."
little kid. That's funny.
No, cause like back when I was younger, like I gave myself like a fake identity,
Yeah.
and I was like, "No, I'm not a little kid, guys."
Yeah, I know what you mean. But so I mean, what I was saying is like with, as they said, 25 million, and that was in 2011, and obviously, I think that got even bigger with Black Ops 2. In fact, Black Ops 2 is arguably the biggest COD today. If you were to pinpoint a peak in Call of Duty's popularity, I would say it was Black Ops 2. That was the biggest it was ever going to get.
Oh yeah,
And then I'd say Advanced Warfare was slightly beneath that, ever so slightly beneath that, and it has only gone steadily downhill. Not like it rock bottom. Look, at the end of the day, good COD, bad COD, COD is still the most popular game series on Earth.
oh yeah.
But
Well,
after Black Ops 2, that popularity dipped significantly.
yeah. I mean, like, surprisingly, Black Ops 2 was one of the CODs that I thought I was really going to hate when it was announced and it was in the future. I was like, fuck this game, I don't want to play it. It looks like crap. And then when I actually did play it,
Yeah, I think
it
Black
was
Ops 2 was a
probably one
huge
of the
surprise.
best CODs that I've ever played.
It was a huge surprise for sure.
Yeah.
But I think
And,
it was great though. I think Black Ops 2 is definitely one of my favorites, and it's probably the only Treyarch COD I actually really enjoy too, because legitimately I think it's a game that the campaign is just one of the best. It's out of this world. It takes place
oh,
over
yeah.
different time periods. It has different choices, which is crazy for a COD game. Never been done before. Never been done again, actually. And
I've always been a.
oh, you good?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Um,
oh, I'm sorry, God. You're right. You go then.
we're so polite.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have always been a fan of like Black Ops 1 and two's campaign, and even World at War, if you could count that. Not so much of like Black Ops 3's, but
Yeah,
it,
Black Ops 3's campaign was fun but forgettable, I think. Black Ops 1's
yeah,
campaign was amazing. Black Ops 1's campaign was so cool.
yeah, like you for Black Ops 3's campaign, you have to eat like a whole sheet of acid to understand what's going on.
It's cool, but I think I will say that I think that the game lost something by giving you to create a character. I think that ruined
Yeah.
it, in my opinion. I think that was part of what, in my opinion, gimped the story somewhat. I mean, not
I,
like cause not that it ruined it in the sense that like it was bad, but it's like typically with a COD campaign you have set characters who are like meaningful, but
yeah.
by having this created character, which they basically had to create this almost, well, not generic because that's unfair, but create this story that would basically fit a nobody character around it, I think was also a bit weird. Plus, I think Black Ops 3 story was weird. But regardless, I think for as much as I actually dislike Black Ops 3's multiplayer, I think the game itself, including its multiplayer, is actually really cool. I think Black Ops
Yeah.
3 as a game has really cool ideas. I think the specialists, despite the fact that I dislike their implementation, I hate how so many of them have power-based supers in the sense that like they just kill you for free, and some of them in the beginning especially were super OP. So I really dislike that. I think the idea of them was cool. Granted, this was actually before hero shooters were in. Most people forget Black Ops 3 came out in 2015. This was actually before Overwatch came out. So a lot of people actually forget that some games are actually riding the hero shooter train before the main
Who would
hero
have
shooter even came out.
Holy shit, who would have thought that there were games like that before Overwatch?
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not like Team Fortress 2 or anything.
Hmm. Exactly. Like it's weird. So I think that concept is cool. I like the idea of the characters, the fact that they were all unique characters with personalities, and each one of them was had different abilities and stuff. But you could all use the same weapons. I think that was cool. That said, I do think Black Ops 4, bringing it back to the beginning of this topic, takes it a step too far by now making it so that characters can't even characters are so much like heroes that they can't even use the same equipment. That bothers me.
Well, I mean, they're not gonna have the problem with the confusing campaign in Black Ops 4.
Well, no, but like at the same time, we also lose the fact that characters, like for me, as much as I hated the offensive like specialist supers, at least the specialists themselves, they were just cosmetic, really, at the end of the
Yeah,
day. But now the specialists in Black Ops 4 are basically like operators from Rainbow Six, i.e., that their equipment is unique to them. And I think what's bothersome about this to me is the way they were promoting it, which I know is just like it's just like what's his face, business speak, saying it's going to be like the most fun and customizable. Which I'm like, no, you're actually, and I remember I said this to you on Twitter. They're actually making the mistake that hero shooters ironically make, which is you're actually restricting the way people play. Because if people are forced to pick certain characters, that means they can only do certain things. So let me explain something. This is part of the reason why I'm not saying it, all these games are bad, why I personally have an issue with stuff like Overwatch, because initially when Overwatch first came out, that game you could pick whichever character you wanted, and you could
yeah,
character stack. So that basically meant that it didn't really matter who you played on the map; it just mattered how you played them, and you counter pick and
yeah,
that kind of thing. But ever since they had added character lock to Overwatch, in my opinion, that's what I stopped enjoying, and that's what contributed to the toxic atmosphere now, because it's basically like a MOBA where you're just locked in and you can't really do anything. And obviously you can switch, but like everything revolves around team meta and team builds and all that stuff. And I feel like that took away the essence of what made Overwatch fun to begin with. That's in my opinion. I think that while that's not necessarily exactly what Black Ops 4 will suffer from, I do think that going down that Rainbow Six route of characters with preset abilities, which you can't, you can't mix and match, you can't change equipment. That's going to lead to situations where like someone, let's say, like for the sake of argument, because I think this is a good example, let's say you play Ruin, right? You like Ruin because you played him in Black Ops 3, and you're like, oh, awesome, they're bringing him back for Black Ops 4. That's great. Then the match starts, someone's already picked Ruin. You're not allowed to pick
yeah,
Ruin. It's like, oh, what do I do now? Then you have to pick someone else, but you're not good with
yeah,
anyone else. But you're forced to play them, and then you play them crap, and your teammates are like, oh, why aren't you playing this character correctly? And all you think is, well, I've never played them before, but you picked the character I wanted to play. Do you see the problem? By forcing you to pick characters who have limited abilities and limited equipment that you can't mix and match, you're just going to create a situation where people are going to become more toxic because they're mad that you're not playing the game correctly. But at the same
yeah,
thing is, not everyone is playing a game to be MLG pro snipes or whatever. Some people just want to play for fun, but
yeah,
how can they have fun when they're not allowed to play how they want?
yeah. I mean, like, just like on a side note, I mostly played Ruin because his dialogue was my favorite.
It's all
You have a nice fucking day now. Like, he
yeah,
reminds me of this sergeant from Full Metal Jacket.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
But, but, yeah, I can see what you mean. Like, if this becomes like a thing where you have to like select a hero, and if somebody already selects them, that could create some toxicity in more toxicity in the Call of Duty community.
Yeah.
But then there's also the subject of battle royales. If I that I wanted to touch on. Is
Yeah.
it cool if I go to
No, no,
that?
that's fair. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Um, One thing that people are saying, which I just find idiotic, like COD fan or COD hater, is like how people are saying it's going to kill Fortnite or PUBG.
Uh,
No, it's not.
I don't
Like,
think anything is gonna kill anything.
uh, well, Fortnite's gonna die when people stop streaming it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how Fortnite
Yeah.
became popular, that's how PUBG became popular.
I mean, in fact, funny you mentioned Fortnite. I think Fortnite's popularity is weird. it's weird in the sense that that's a game that's actually been out for years, but nobody played it, right?
Well, actually, it came out last year, but just like
It was been
it
in
was
like in
dead for a
beta. It
couple
was in like
months.
beta and like preview and stuff.
All
And
they had to do was add a battle royale
yeah, that's what I'm
mode.
saying. It was basically a game about building forts and surviving. It's basically like a zombie survival game. Then they just added a battle royale mode, and but because it was by Epic Games, it was a more polished game. It ended up being more
Shut up and
popular.
take my lack of money.
Yeah, it ended up becoming more popular than PUBG, which while people loved, remember PUBG took the world by storm, right? Like
Yeah.
we can never forget that. It took the world by storm, but along comes what's his name, Fortnite, which basically filled the gap of frustration people are having with PUBG, which is like the game is unpolished, it's glitchy, like you know what I
That's
mean,
why
all that
I
stuff.
refunded PUBG twice.
And that's where Fortnite came in. But here's the thing about Fortnite, and I don't mean this in a hateful way. Here's the thing: I enjoy watching Fortnite. I enjoy watching streamers play it. I actually think it's quite entertaining. I think there's quite a few entertaining moments. Like I love watching Tim the Tatman play. It's actually really funny. But
Yeah.
it's not a game I played myself. Like I have zero interest in battle royales. When all of my friends were playing PUBG, I wasn't because I'm just
I
like
mean,
I'm
like,
just not interested in playing a game where it's like I have to run around for a while to find stuff, and then I could die for any reason, and then I have to wait. Like I'm not a fan of that. Uh,
I was.
oh, go ahead.
Uh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
Um, I was kind of like that myself when Five Nights at Freddy's was a thing. I'd rather see people watch it, mainly because I was too chicken shit to play horror games myself.
Ah, that's okay.
Like, um, but yeah, Fortnite, like, it's, I mean, I enjoy playing it, but it's also fun to, like, watch people stream it because these people are really good and
Yeah,
they're also really
yeah. I
funny.
think that's another thing. One thing I will say in
And,
Fortnite's favor is that one of the biggest distinguishing things between that and PUBG and a lot of games is the building stuff. Like that
oh yeah,
building is a skill element that I think is what made that game popular. The fact that building takes skill on top of actually being a good shot, I think is what added to the uniqueness of the game. Initially, I thought that building was whack. I thought, like it's cool, but like, why do you have to build? Why can't there be a battle royale mode where you can just play without building? But after some time, I'm like, you know what? The building's actually a good thing because when you think about it, the building actually makes gunfights last longer. It's not like PUBG where you meet someone, kind of dance around, and someone dies for some stupid reason. With the building, it actually allows people to survive longer, have cleaner fights. I mean, sometimes it drags on, sometimes people camp forever,
yeah.
but it at least makes it so that when someone shoots you, you don't have to just take it and just worry about what dumb laggy stuff they're going to do to you. You can probably put up a shield. You can probably retreat. Like there's some tactics to it. So I appreciated that. That all said, for as much as I'm heaping all this praise on Fortnite, I think its popularity, like its rise to fame, will die suddenly. I think that
Yeah,
game it does not have any lasting power. I think that game's charm is its main gimmick, and when that gimmick wears thin, it's gonna die, and that's a shame because I think it's a
and
cool
this
game, but I think it's gonna die very quickly.
and I don't think COD's gonna be the one to kill
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I don't think
Like
so.
it's just jumping on the train, same as anything else.
Yeah,
And
and
Battlefield 5 plans on doing the same
what
thing,
battle royale? Oh,
but I hope not,
let's not.
because
Like,
it's
I don't
just
want
getting
to.
out of
I don't
hand.
even want to talk about Battlefield. Let's not talk. The thing is, and mind you, I'm a
Yeah,
Battlefield fan. I'm not hating on it. I just feel like let's keep that other conversation because I know some
yeah.
people like to
Save
be
that
funny
for
about that.
another
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Some people like to be funny about that. But with COD Battle Royale, short of it being the best thing ever made, which maybe it could be, because when you think about it, the thing with Battle
The
Royale
best.
games is that like it'd be interesting to see a battle royale done in COD style, like with COD's level of polish and gunplay. I think that is an interesting experiment to see through to the end. You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah,
interesting, but I feel like one thing COD's in danger of is what every other battle royale that isn't PUBG or Fortnite is in danger of. Because let's not forget, there have been other games to attempt battle royale and they all failed.
yeah.
In fact, funnily enough, since we actually mentioned it, do you know every hero shooter other than Overwatch and Rainbow Six also failed? Like, remember,
Battleborn.
Battleborn failed, Paladins is all right, to an extent, but that's not exactly a smash hit. Like it's still going,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Like it didn't like claim any fame or anything.
Yeah.
And
Paladins is fine.
and while I love my Infinite Warfare to pieces, let's be honest, that game's not exactly a hit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
sorry to say it,
No,
but
no,
that's true.
I admit it. So, quite simply, every game that isn't Overwatch or Rainbow Six that's a hero shooter kind of didn't do.
Lawbringers.
Oh God, the story of Lawbreakers is actually sad because
That
I admit I did feel like, especially in the not in the case of Rainbow Six, but in the case of Overwatch, I felt like the game doesn't really take the kind of skill that I care about. Like there's no individual character skill. The game just feels like there's no satisfaction. You just kind of have to press your abilities to help your team, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It just there
yeah.
was a lack of satisfaction there. And Lawbreakers was a game where character skill actually mattered, and there's actually a learning curve, and you actually had to figure out like the maps. You actually had to figure out how to use your character in a meaningful way, and the gameplay felt more like an arena shooter, like Unreal or Quake. So the gameplay was cool, but that's about it. The
Yeah.
characters were generic. The stages were very cool, but very hard to navigate. The gravity mechanic was sick, but the game didn't even teach you how to use it properly. In fact, most people, the vast majority of people, did not realize that the way to use the gravity mechanic was you had to shoot your gun backwards.
Mm.
And the only way you figure that out is by watching the trailers or by watching a YouTube video about it. The game itself doesn't even tell you that.
Yeah.
And
So
it sucks because I just remember the beta came out and I was probably the only person I know who played it. Like I don't even think the majority of YouTubers
I
played
played
it.
it. It was
And it was fun.
fun-ish.
It was fun, but I didn't spend that much time on it. And then the game came out, and look, I couldn't tell you what I was doing when Lawbreakers came out. I couldn't tell you. I just wasn't playing that game, and it looks like nobody else was because apparently that game had like 28 players, and I'm just like, that's insane for like a modern
Yeah.
game. That's crazy. But I guess it's not that crazy because when you think about it, there's plenty of games that have like no players. I guess we just knew about this one because it was by Epic Games. Oh no, no, sorry, that's incorrect. Boss Key, which former Epic Games boss Cliff Blazinski, he worked for Boss Key. That's I guess why we knew about it. It's not that the game wasn't like fun or good. It's just that there's it was suffering from something I was saying to you before we started recording this, which is there's too many games.
Yeah.
And look at it this way: if you're basically playing Overwatch and Rainbow Six and PUBG and Fortnite and some MMO, either Destiny or Final Fantasy, you're probably playing like the current big single player game, which at the time would have been Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like, who has time for Lawbreakers?
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get a PS4, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Great game. So it's like, who has time for Lawbreakers, right?
Yeah.
When there's all these other games to play. So anyway, so not to linger on Lawbreakers too much. So regardless, when it comes back to the subject of Black Ops 4, I think the setting is cool, right?
Mm.
I think it's great. It actually looks more like Modern Warfare than Black Ops 2 does, which is weird. Like, have you noticed that? Like, they're really not, even though it's after Black Ops 2, like the
Yeah.
characters' armor, the locations you see them in, like none of it really looks futuristic. It really looks very like Modern Warfare. So I'm actually getting Modern Warfare 3 vibes from it, like to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, except for, like, I mentioned this so many times on Twitter, Ruin looking like Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see the specialists before they got their augmentations. I think that's fascinating that they showed us, like, oh, these are the specialists before all that, which actually I think they look less cool than their Black Ops 3 incarnation. I think I like Ruin better with metal arms and less beard.
Yeah.
That's me personally. And I'm also saying to you on Twitter that I actually don't think any of the specialists look that interesting. I mean, Recon is the character I play, I guess, because he has Outrider's ability, and I typically like characters who have some kind of intel recon-based ability. But I don't think as a character he looks all that cool. He kind of looks not generic, because that's unfair, because I like military-style characters. I just don't think he's interesting. That's why I
Yeah.
hope maybe we get Human Spectre, as in Spectre before he had augmentations. That'd be cool if they include him in the game, or her, but they don't tell us that it's Spectre. It's probably some other stupid name, like I don't know, like Revenant or something dumb like that, right?
That actually sounds awesome,
Yeah,
though.
if they, wouldn't it be sick if there's like this female character called Revenant, right? And they've got like some kind of blade, right? And it's not exactly Reaper's, I just said Reaper Derp, Spectre's like laser blade, but it's like some kind of blade. If she had that, right, and that was her like her main thing, like a tactical blade or whatever, and it hinted that that's the character that becomes Spectre, that'd be the character I'd play for sure. Because I usually like
Imagine if
those, I like those assassin type characters.
Imagine if they had this edgy character that was like surrounded like with a black robe, and he had this awesome kind of like spear or glaive weapon, and if it's broken he dies, and he had some kind of like edgy kind of like darkness name like Corvus Glaive.
Something
Oh,
like that.
oh, 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 wait a
Oh
minute.
my god. But yeah, so I think that the specialists don't look as cool as Black Ops 3 specialists. One, because I mean, I like the sci-fi aesthetic of it. I actually think making him more Rainbow Six is fine. I just think it also makes him more boring, personally. But
Yeah,
I'm less concerned about that than I am about the gameplay, because I think the health system is a weird choice. I think it's fine, though. I think if it's done right, it's fine. Like, I'm not
yeah,
losing sleep over a health system at the end of the day. I think it's a weird choice for Call of Duty, but that I'm more worried about limiting people to specialists who only have certain equipment and abilities, because that's literally going to lead to situations where only certain people know how to play certain characters, and if they're forced to use them, that's basically it. That said, they haven't told us how many specialists there will be. Remember, in Black Ops
yeah.
3, we had what? How many? 9?
Eight or
8 or
nine?
9? No, there was 8, and they added another one. So we
Oh
only
yeah,
had 8. Then they added another one, right? But,
mm,
and this is a huge but if this is going down the actual Rainbow Six route, what that means is that they can add more down the line. If specialists are meant to be basically unique characters with equipment, what's to say Season Pass won't add more? Because remember, that's what Rainbow Six is. It's about seasons. It's about adding new content and new specialists each time. And I
yeah,
think that with Black Ops 4, if they're going for more of a specialist focus, that they aren't just cosmetic characters with slightly different like abilities, but rather fixed characters with unique abilities, it basically means they can add more over time, and I think that's interesting. But
yeah,
once again, I still don't think it negates the issue of people losing characters they like, because look, it works for Rainbow Six. To talk to Rainbow Six for a second, I think Rainbow Six one is an interesting game in that it started off actually kind of crap and they actually made it better over time. But
kind of like For Honor.
yeah, it's an interesting game in that it works out because that game is tactical. The game is built from the ground up to be about using unique characters for these unique abilities in order to complete the same objective. That's what makes Rainbow Six Rainbow Six.
Yeah,
I don't think COD can really do that, because the difference between Rainbow Six and COD is Rainbow Six, you die and you're done. So you have to communicate with your team, you have to coordinate, you have to know what you're doing. In
yeah,
COD, you die very quickly, but you come back. And there's
yeah,
usually some other kind of objective. I don't think the speed and pace and meta of COD fit a game where you aren't allowed to switch up stuff. I think that
yeah,
is the issue. Limiting people to only using certain things in a game like Call of Duty, where you're literally, typically allowed to just do whatever you want. I don't know if the general COD player base is going to do that, because you're effectively
yeah.
asking people who, I mean, let's be honest, all of them, right? Because obviously I'm a COD player myself, but you're asking
So am I.
people who typically play for hours, like on their own, listening to music or being racist down the mic. You're asking people like that to work together. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Jesus, I remember back in those days of Modern Warfare 2. Ugh.
Like, I mean, that's not to say that there isn't any teamwork in COD. Obviously, there is,
Yeah, of course not.
and there's obviously modes that require teamwork, and obviously there's league play and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
I feel like teamwork, when it's required for the sake of league play or the objective, is one thing when it just happens and it works out because, well, people have to do it. And it's another thing when everyone has to do it, and that's the whole game. Maybe that could foster a better environment. Maybe Black Ops 4 could be the first game to break the cycle of toxicity. Or maybe none of that crap's going to happen because Overwatch, currently the world's biggest hero shooter, is the biggest like source of toxicity right now. I
Yeah,
somehow don't think COD's going to solve that problem. Not really.
yeah,
And also, Rainbow Six, for as good as that game is, has a very similar, maybe not to the same extent as Overwatch, but it has a very similar issue in that the fan base is kind of toxic
yeah,
because of like people not being able to play who they want and people not working together.
yeah,
It's the same MOBA problem that MOBAs have had for years, in that you're basically putting your fate in the hands of randomers. And
yeah,
I can't tell you. I mean, no offense to you guys. I mean, not that you necessarily listen to this, but if you ever do, just understand I'm not taking the piss. But no offense to you guys, but like the amount of times I have to listen to my friends get angry and salty over this and that person and this and that MOBA not doing what they're supposed to and all that. It's just, I think it's fair that you're getting mad about that stuff. I'm not saying that it's not valid, but at the same time, it's like all I can say is that's what you get for playing with randomers. Like I'm not being
yep,
funny. Like that's what you get for playing with randomers for real. Like that
yeah,
sucks, but if you play with
yeah,
randomers, that's what's gonna happen. And I think in games
pretty
like
much.
COD and Halo, that didn't really matter for the most part because it's like, and I'm not talking about team deathmatch. Obviously, yeah, team deathmatch, but I'm talking about like hard point, which is stay on the point, or
Search and destroy.
like capture the flag. It's go find the flag. Like teamwork was always there, but it's like you could carry. That's one of the biggest differences between like old school sorry, not hero, arena shooters, which is what COD leans more towards. Very fast paced, twitchy gameplay. It's based on getting kills. In
Yeah,
games like that, it was basically about how good you are as a player and how good you could play whatever the objective is, be it kills or captures or whatever. So teamwork only mattered insofar as how you all performed on doing the same thing. That's why that works
yeah,
out. But when it's like it's an objective that you actually have to communicate with strangers to complete, or everyone has to do the job perfectly, that's where the problems start. That's where the toxicity comes in, because if people aren't doing their job, then the game literally can't work. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that literally is the issue. So, regardless, I think Black Ops 4 looks fine. I just want to know how they're going to deal with, let's be honest, the incoming toxicity issue.
oh yeah, of course.
But I mean,
So,
I know the point of this was to talk about like the hate about the future setting, which I think we've already touched on that. It's just literally that people quite literally don't know what they want, and
yeah,
I think that the setting of this game should be the least of your problems. Just saying.
yeah,
Like I think
just
this.
like wait to till the beta to try it out.
I mean, and as a more general point, perhaps we should also kind of touch on the fact of like it seems like a moot point, but it also needs to be said. It's like, but why do you care so much? Why do people care so much? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
In the sense that like nobody's forcing you to play the new Call of Duty. Nobody's
yeah,
holding
of
your hand
course.
and saying you have to play this game. So it's like, why do people care so much? Why do people
Yeah,
even bother to click on a video just to dislike it? Like, I mean, granted, not everyone has my life. Not everyone has, well, anyone's life really. But it's
yeah.
also like you really have to
Only
wonder.
people of split personality disorder do.
True, but it's like you really have to
Shadows.
wonder, why do people even spend, like, even, fair enough, it doesn't take that much time, even the slightest bit of effort to go out of their way to dislike something or chat crap about something, which is like, shouldn't you be like, I don't know, playing a game you like or something, or
Yeah, exactly.
going
Like,
out somewhere or doing something? Like, it's like, why are you here, like, crapping on fans or something else? Like, nobody asked you to be here.
yeah, it's like the PS4 fanboys. Like, I'm a PS4 player myself now, but it's like the PS4 players that like go on like any video just to talk about memes, like about the Xbox One. Like, we get it, you play on PS4, but like maybe you should be talking about the PS4 instead of hating on the
Yeah.
system you don't like.
In fact, funny
Um,
funny story for you. So, you know what Digital Foundry is? You've probably seen them before.
oh yeah, the comment section is like more cancerous
Yeah,
than like
but you know what's messed up
the
about
actual.
Digital Foundry's videos is they don't even start console wars. The thing is, Digital Foundry are PC guys who just do technical specs for console games. Like they say, like, oh, this game runs at 4K, this game runs at 1080p. Like they just do comparisons for new games. Like Titanfall 2, it's like this is how it runs on PS4, this is how it runs on Xbox. Like that's all they're doing. They're just telling you this is how the game runs. They're not saying it's better on this console or whatever. They're just saying that like, oh, if you're buying this game, be aware that on Xbox One it runs at 900p 60, on PS4 it runs at 1080p 60 with some issues. Like that's what they're there to do. Like they don't take sides. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, they're just informing their
yeah, but like one of
audience.
the most recent videos is they were talking about PlayStation 5 and they're basically saying that like what does PlayStation 5 need to do to like basically be legit? And they're basically talking about like what PC hardware it needs and like what different technical specs we'll have to go through and like basically just talking about like, well, PS5 is probably going to happen, maybe not this year, but like maybe the next 2 years. So
Yeah,
what does it need to have in order to be like decent? So they're just talking about like PC hardware and all that stuff. So it was just a basic standard like PC centric video, and they're just saying that like Xbox One X is cool and it has some decent forward thinking hardware. So PS5 would need to have something a step up from that, and so would Xbox. So once again, it was basically saying that like for PS5 to be great, it has to have some decent hardware. And oh my god, the dislikes and the comments. I'm just like, wow. So even in a video where they're literally not even comparing anything, they're just talking about hardware, people are still just losing their minds.
yeah.
And
So
it's like you literally just clicked on this video just to hate and just to talk crap. Like you didn't even watch the video. You just clicked on it just to be mad.
yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here for now, if that's cool with
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. I think we've gone over
So
literally everything, so I think it's fine.
yeah. So this was this. We just talked about the state of Call of Duty at the moment in this video and some other games too. But we hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to JusticeSoulTuna's channel. He makes a lot of awesome videos like Street Fighter, Call of Duty, all sorts of games. Be sure to check him out and subscribe. And anyways, guys, we hope you all have an amazing day. You guys are awesome. Umbra out and
Justice out.